Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division with various win for the playoff tournament and the Glen Monarch Estate here in Golf Clash the game. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. And before we start, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. You can get the ultimate tournament guides for Pro, Expert and or Master by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. You can also improve your tour play as we offer exclusive tour text guides there as well. Check out the best from both worlds through the link in the description down below. Follow the info box on the right hand side to get the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow what I do suggest, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. For hole number 1, we're going to start by playing with the driver that gives us the most power. This to simplify it all and not have to go with overpower. 4.5 bar topspin, 2 bars of left spin, and I'm focusing on having the ball guideline point straight down the fairway. Adjustment shall be maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. For those of you that have a problem with hitting perfect, meaning that you hit a lot of great rights, I would recommend to go with a click curl of left curl. But if you do not have that issue, then just let it be. Because you can see we're getting kind of close to the right hand side here. So it is important to have stuff like that in mind. 331 yards comes perfectly up here for a short iron that is going to be somewhere between the minimum and medium distance of our club. The problem we do have with this shot is that we do have a very bad ball guideline on the Thorn level 5. Those of you playing with the Thorn level 8 or better, or Hornet level 8 or better, will have a massive advantage here, as you can follow the ball guideline in a much easier way. Now I'm gonna have to guess, and once getting up there to the green, it's often that we do have a glitchy spot there. I like to back up in general and bounce before the green, but as not having a ball guideline, I need to get myself closer to give myself a better chance. I played this one medium distance, no elevation, but you know, in the end we should have played this one minus 5%, and that is what I will go with from now on. You can see here that we're getting very close to the right hand side, but in my opinion this is such a short par 4 and kind of an easy par 4 where I do expect myself to have a drop if I do hit a perfect ball. But have the correct elevation, which is minus 5, it's slightly uphill, and then we will be getting that one to drop the next time. For hole number 2, when we're playing from front tee, then we're going to play a rough bump. I do believe that the rough bump will be the best possible chance for us to get a drop here. And the reason for that is if we back up and play on the fairway, we will see ourselves being in between clubs in especially tailwind. So now, and we do have 2/3 of the red ring outside the rough, as you can see there on the picture. We're using spin, a little bit of backspin, around 1 bar of backspin, to have the ball guideline still go through the hole pretty heavily. And the reason we do want it to go through the hole that heavy as we're having here on the video is due to the compressed ball guideline. Like when having a headwind, the compressed ball guideline is the most important thing to have in mind, because the ball guideline will not be as long as it shows on the video, or sorry, as it shows when you do set it up. So therefore the ball guideline needs to go through the hole, otherwise it will not have the speed enough to get to the hole. That's the same if we do have an extended ball guideline, which will happen in tailwind. Then we need to leave the ball guideline short, or we will come in too hot. A marlin ball is the only thing that we need here. Max plus 10 is the adjustment. Hole number 3, and we're going to play with a Titan ball. I would strongly recommend to go with a power 4 or power 5 ball if you have that possibility, but for the sake of the playthrough and also being able to play free to play completely, then we're going to only spend a Titan ball here on this hole. I'm gonna use 4.5 bar topspin, and in the end I'm gonna use 2 bars of left spin. My goal here is to have the second bounce before the rough and then bounce over the rough. You can see that little that points out into the fairway just by the bunker. You see the second bounce on the video there. Adjustment's going to be maximum distance plus 10. And now the thing that we want to have here is that when it bounces over with this, you know, we have the first bounce, then the second bounce, but then when we go over the rough, and get to the third bounce, we do want to have this little nice rollout. Unfortunately, we're getting dead bounces, and that's going to be a problem as we're going to be short. We do want to get up to 350 yards as, you know, a perfect drive. It's not the end of the world to in terms of trying to get the eagle, but it's just going to be way tougher. So here I'm using all the topspin I have, 2 bars of side spin to the right, and here it is strongly recommended to use as much topspin that you possible can. Stretch out to visualize the second bounce into the rough for it to roll out on the green, fairway or fringe. Because once again, this is a par 5, which you will see on the other par 5s as well in off the Glen Monarch Estate, where we're only looking to get ourselves an eagle, nothing else. So when I'm just rolling out of the rough here, I'm just super pleased because that means that I will lock in that eagle. So make sure to not get stuck into the rough. But if that happens, you have a very short rough iron that requires very little adjustment, so to speak. In the end, hole number 3, tough one. Get yourself that eagle and be happy with that. Hole number 4 and another Marlin. This is the same type of thought as we do have on hole number 7, which we'll come to eventually. We're using a Marlin ball to prevent us from going in between clubs, especially if we do have tailwind. The top of the yellow ring by the edge of the rough, and then 2 bars of topspin, ball guideline to the hole. Here in this video I do adjust a little bit too much in my opinion. I should only use a minimum distance with a 10% over adjustment as an adjust, which would give me approximately half a ring less than what I adjust. Because the problem we do have here now when I do make an over adjustment is that I do bounce too much left, and then the ball will be pushed too much right, or let's say like this, it won't be pushed enough back to the left, which is what we are looking for. So therefore we need to adjust a little bit less, let the ball come into the right side of the green to be pushed back to the left, and then up towards the pin for an hole-in-one. Once finding out the adjustment on this hole, this is usually a money shot, and that is something that I want you to have in mind when you play it in the tournament, because this is a very good chance for a drop. For hole number 5, I will give you 2 options. One, when we do have a straight tailwind here, or like almost a straight tailwind, and we're gonna push it as hard as we can to get as close as possible to the green. 4.5 bar topspin, no side spin whatsoever. And here we shall adjust max plus 10, push up to max. And the goal here with a max overpower shot is to clip the rough and roll out. So I want to clip the rough exactly as we're doing. We have margin towards the water at the bottom, and then we roll out and have a wedge towards the pin. This is obviously a much better chance than having to lay up as we will do in the other example here. Those of you being able to play with the Firefly in a decent level will have a good ball guideline, also a lot of topspin. Use all that topspin, use the ball guideline in your favor, and you will have a simple shot here towards the pin, or at least you will have a very good chance at dropping this one for an eagle. Have in mind that I'm playing with a berserker ball, which you can win for free in the golden shot. You know, some of you may not have that ball, then this shot is not a possibility. You do need to have a power 5 ball to be able to go over the water and as maximum wind resistance 1. Those of you that have invested in special balls, that being able to play with a wind 0 ball is also obviously able to play this type of shot. But let's take a look at the layup option, which will, in my opinion, be the more common one to see on hole 5. For the layup option here on hole number 5, we're going to actually start with a wood club. This time the sniper in complete max distance of our club here. And the reason we're going to play with the sniper is because we don't want to, you know, play with the quarterback, as doesn't give us the backspin enough to lay up where we want to. Because the plan here now is not to go too far on this first fairway, to still give us the angle towards the pin that we're looking for. The higher up we're getting, the more water we will have in play, and that's something that we do want to avoid. Playing with a quasar ball, which will be a free-to-play ball that we do get in free chest, and we can spend that one without, you know, being bothered. So second shot we can do 2 ways. Either we go with a backspin shot, which is going to bounce on the fairway up towards the green, or we go for a rough bump. For those of you that do want to give yourself the best chance for an eagle, and also feel that they do want to play aggressive, then the rough bump is the play. If you do not feel comfortable with a rough bump, then you bounce on the fairway, give yourself the margin of error so you don't have to, you know, risk losing out on the birdie, because obviously that's never something we want to do on, you know, any hole. We don't want to lose out on the general score. Adjustment 10% elevation based on true club distance. It's important that you move your target up to max, down to minimum, and then estimate where you are in terms of your club distance. Then apply the 10% elevation, and you will have a good chance to be around the hole for an eagle here on hole number 5. Hole number 6. When we do have a tailwind, we shall always try to get over to the second fairway platform, and the reason for that is if we do reach over to that platform, we actually have a chance to get close to the green to lock in the eagle, because this is a par 5 where a birdie is the general score. So an eagle here should be considered as a drop, like you would be chipping in on a par 4 or dropping a hole in one on a par 3, because this is a long tough par 5. Getting it over by clipping the rough, and that's going to happen most of the times because the wind isn't as strong in rookie. But also you can avoid that by going with a power 4 or power 5 ball if that is something that you would like to use. You don't have to use it, but it would definitely be beneficial to use it on a hole like this. Now, second shot, we use the big dog, and here for those that do feel comfortable going with a power slice, you can do that, but I'm not going to play that here because that is something that is very technical and not something that everyone is familiar with. Adjust max no elevation. I'm using in this case somewhere between 4 to 5 bars of topspin, depending on once again what wind angle I'm gonna have, and I'm only trying to get the ball down here to have an open shot towards the pin. Now for the third shot, we're going to play with a wedge, and the wedge here is not going to be easy. To be very focused to do that one well. Those of you that feel comfortable in going for a dunk, you can go for a dunk, and you apply in that case minimum distance adjustment with no elevation. But again, it's up to you to decide what you want to do. A dunk is something that I personally feel very comfortable with, but you know, there may be some of you that do not feel comfortable in that, and then you obviously go with the wedge instead, trying to lock in the eagle. So, but it's always nice, you know, when you go for a dunk, especially if you drop it. But when you miss it, like I did here in the video, it's a bit embarrassing instead. So, in the end, hole number 6, tough, long, and boring hole. Get the eagle and consider that to be a drop. For hole number 7, we are going to play with the sniper. Here it is such a massive advantage if you do have a sniper level 7 or better, because then you will have a full ball guideline to be able then to aim that ball guideline directly towards the pin. Now when I do have the sniper level 6, I cannot really use that, so I'm going to have to eyeball my adjustment a little bit, and that's never going to be that good in general. So we aim with half of the red ring inside the rough, 1.5 bar topspin, and we're going to play minimum distance with a 20% over adjustment, and we're playing with a marlin ball to make sure that we're not gonna go in between clubs. Because if I'm going to play with a power 2 or a power 3 ball here, I would go in between clubs every time when there is a tailwind. So I would make sure to always go with a marlin ball if I'm having tailwind. If I'm having a crosswind or a headwind, I can use a different ball if I want to. Write that pin for a beautiful hole-in-one here on hole number 7. Hole number 8, the final of the par 4, but also a very good chance to end up to get an eagle here for the hole 8 Glenmark Estate. Use a driver with power, because the quarterback, sure, it's a very accurate club, but we do need to get into the final part of the fairway before the 2 bunkers. 2 bars of side spin to the right, and we're going to use somewhere between 2 and 4 bars of topspin depending on what wind we're going to have. Now we do have tailwind and we're using 2 bars of topspin. Headwind I would go up and use 4. Maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment is what we're going to adjust. And once that is done, we shall obviously try to hit perfect. This par 4 is a par 4 that has been in the game for a very long time, so many of you have probably seen this hole before, and we have always been playing the left side. But lately, there has been, ideas of playing on the right side, which I'm not thinking is wrong. But what I feel personally is that the left side brings us a very simple drive. We don't have to bounce over any water or anything like that, and also gives us a very open shot when it comes to bouncing on the fairway before the green. So my favorite way of playing here in hole 8 is to play the left side, and just then for the second shot estimate my club distance and play no elevation here for this shot. I always try to stay away from using topspin, backspin, or for that matter side spin, because I feel that playing without spin gives me more control of my shot, as I then know to somewhat how the bounces is going to react once it hits the ground. Adjust and then hit perfect, and this one is most likely going to be in. One other thing to also think about, especially for those of you with lower level clubs, is that the ball guideline is not going to be fully developed. And you can see that I left the tip of the ball guideline to be short of pin. And the reason I do that is because otherwise I will come in too hot and bounce on the pin, or like bounce off the pin out. And that is not something we do want to do. So, good chance for an eagle on hole 8. Hole number 9, and this is going to be a tough hole, especially if we do have wind left to right from for the drive. And the reason that's going to be tough is because then we have headwind for the second shot. This is not a linear hole. This is not a par 5 that we're going to go for an albatross, and you will notice why once it's time for the second shot. 1 bar of topspin and max side spin to the left. Maximum distance plus 10 is what we are adjusting here. Obviously, the topspin slash backspin is going to vary depending on what type of wind angle we are going to have, so have that in mind. Once again, compressed ball guideline in headwind, extended ball guideline in tailwind, nothing in crosswind. So have that in mind when you set up your spin, to judge how far the ball is going to go over the water. Second shot, we do play with the big dog. Here it is very important to play with the wood club that gives us the most power. It could be the big dog, could be the horizon, could be the cataclysm, depending on what clubs you have unlocked and in what level you have them in. No elevation, max distance adjustment, and here I'm using 2 bars of topspin and 2 bars of side spin to the left. And as we do have a headwind, we are most likely going to have to go with full overpower to be able to reach to where we want to. It's better to use overpower than more topspin. Why? It's because if using more topspin, we risk rolling too far into the rough or bunker behind the green. And that's not something we do want to do. But by using overpower, we give our ball a longer flight, and then in the end the topspin will not kick the ball or like roll the bar too far. It will actually then be perfect. So have that in mind as well for the second shot. But this is going to be a par 5 where getting an eagle is going to be tough. And the eagle is not something everyone will get. So focus on that and just ignore the fact that the albatross, ignore the idea of getting an albatross. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division with various type of win for the playoff tournament and the Glen Monarch Estate here in Golf Clash the game. Get the ultimate tournament guides for pro, expert and or master by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy, link directly in the description down below. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Once again, thank you for watching and good luck in your Golf Clash game.